So today we're going to be looking at the most useless degrees. This is a big talking point right now. Everyone getting a degree and it's absolutely crashing the job market for graduates. It's just a supply and demand thing. I feel like a degree, even 20 years ago was seen as something that not everyone needs to get because most jobs don't even require a degree. It's just something you get if you want to work in a specific subject. But as schools and the government started pushing more and more people into degrees, basically, I remember my school saying that you have to do a degree. They didn't even really give us an opportunity to explore other things. Like, it was always pushing people towards degrees. There maybe was 1 or 2 days in like the entire 2 years of sixth form that they talked about apprenticeships. But for the rest of it, it was all degree, push everyone to apply through UCAS. They were caring more about their stats. I think they were flexing they had like 70-something% of students a year before going into uni, which is crazy. Considering 70% of jobs don't require a degree, I think it's a great way for universities to make money for sure. And I guess the government, I don't know averagely if they make money of people paying back their student debt or not. But some of these are going to be in America as well because America offers some of the funniest degrees. I mean, I don't think we can talk here in the UK. I think we offer an esports degree, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video.
What are you studying?
I am studying creative writing.
Going to a private institution for a degree that typically does not have the best return on investment.
In terms of creative writing, there probably is some things you could do with it, but you don't need a degree in creative writing to be an author or to write copywriting or whatever you may get with that. You don't need that. There also is important to make a distinction in America that private institution, the big universities, it's not capped like it is in the UK where, I think we're capped at like $9,750 a year for tuition fees. Over there, I think they could charge whatever they want. So you could run up hundreds of thousands of debt for 3 or 4 years in university.
But I have a passion for this kind of writing.
But
so
is the degree required?
Yes,
Do you have a
maybe.
degree?
Yeah, I have a.
I do think people need to think more about whatever it may be that they like to do. You might not need a degree for it, bro. You just might not need it. And just because it's your passion doesn't mean you need to go into thousands of debt to pursue it.
A degree.
In?
Liberal math.
Hey, what can we get into?
I don't know.
What the fuck is liberal math, bro? What the hell is that? I mean, math is a very, very good degree. You could get into almost any job with math, but liberal math? Calculating how many genders there are or something, bro?
Get into.
He doesn't even know.
What are you studying?
Graphic communications. It's a super basic art degree.
Okay, so unemployment.
I mean, I think the way she described it is not great there, but
Got it. We built up $75,000 of student loan debt. Say the degree one more time.
I study Shakespeare.
Okay, Shakespeare. Lovely guy. What are you going to do with that?
Well, that's such a complicated question.
Oh, no.
This is where you just have to say we come from different worlds. You're not going to understand this.
What do you mean?
this is what also cracks me up. You're not going to understand it. Brother, Shakespeare. Everyone studied Shakespeare in school. You can just read his plays in your own time, bro. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me you're going to study Shakespeare as a degree? 75,000 in debt for Shakespeare. Like, what job can you get with that? Honestly, like something in writing? Like, I think if your salary will never exceed the amount of debt you have when you leave, it's a very bad degree. So 75K? Is that person ever going to earn 75K a year from a job with that degree? Probably not.
You won't understand the precarity and why it's really all right.
What do you mean, though?
Your reaction there was I
studied music composition in college. I was in the College of Arts School of Music, but I asked the job and you didn't know what to say.
So I have a lot of experience working at writing centers.
Okay.
So I could be that, there are.
I mean, if you could be that and you didn't need the degree, then, I mean, I think he makes a great point when he was talking about how you need to actually have a job you could do with the degree or it's pointless. If there's a job that you can do by doing one of these degrees that will make you money and you'll enjoy, then fair enough. But if you can't, then what are you doing?
There's availability for those kinds of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I also, something I really enjoy is working with people who are applying to college.
You don't need a degree to work with people who are applying to university, by the way. But we have some comments from this, and most of them were just like, what on earth is liberal math? Wish they explained it, to be honest, because that was my reaction. What on earth is liberal math, guys? Then there's a question asking, in America, can you just get a random degree in any topic? Maybe. I mean, like I said, in the UK, we have some crazy ones as well, bro. Then you have a comment here saying they could all become teachers, no? English teacher, maths teacher, and a graphic design teacher. I mean, this is one thing. I remember talking to somebody who was studying a pretty weird degree once. I think it was anthropology or something, which on the face of it, maybe not that bad of a degree, but you needed to get a master's and a PhD. The only real job opportunity was becoming a professor. When those degrees have so many people doing it, there's only a limited amount of professor jobs in any degree, whatever it may be. So it's not all of you are going to be able to be a professor at a university with this. Not all of you are going to be able to do PhDs or whatever it may be. So if you're doing that degree just with the express desire of being a professor, I mean, you have to realize the competition is going to be very high, and the alternatives aren't going to be there. We have another comment saying, liberal math, at this point I blame the colleges for making these options available. I mean, if they can make money from it, why wouldn't they make it available? I think it's one of those situations, if you're dumb enough to buy it, then, or to pay for it and do it, then that's on you, bro. And then we have a comment here saying, I don't like this mentality at all. You should not always study something because it's useful. Back in the day, school was not used as a stepping stone to get a job. It was an education in life and its complexities. Education in any given subject can never be a bad thing. I kind of disagree with that. I understand that you shouldn't just go and try and do the most return on investment degree, especially if you have no interest in it, right? Like, I think the best degrees right now, probably engineering, computer science, medicine, always, dentist, whatever, like law, the high accountancy, finance. These are the degrees that have a high return on investment. The thing is, there is a barrier to entry for these degrees, right? You need to be quite smart to do a maths degree, a physics degree, whatever it is. Not everyone is got that level. Not everyone understands those subjects very well. Everyone has their own strengths. You need to know your own strengths and what to go for. And obviously, if everyone was doing those degrees, we would have a oversubscription of that. And I think we've seen that in some fields, of like computer science, for example. So many people wanted to do software engineering that now AI is taking a bit of that market share over. There's a lot of people getting laid off. I do disagree though that like school was a education in life. It never was. School has never been that. It's always been a stepping stone to get a better job. It always has been. I don't think university ever in the last 100 years where life has maybe been somewhat modern has ever been like this, guys. Now we're going to move on to a UK based one, a woman talking about her biomedicine degree and how she can't do anything with it and she doesn't work in the field. I think that's a pretty common thing, people getting a degree and they don't actually do any work with it.
Biomedicine degree, and then I just never used it. I left uni and I got a load of different jobs, but it was never to do with biomedicine. The reason was when I was looking for biomedicine degree jobs, the P was just shite. It was.
That's the thing with the UK, right? Graduate roles or just coming out of university, it's not like in the US where pay is quite competitive straight away. Pay here is always shit. Straight away, there's very few jobs where pay is insane. It's always 25, maybe 30 if you're lucky. And then you work your way up to whatever it is. I know for what I'm studying at the moment, computer science, entry-level roles here start at like the 25 to 30K, which is basically the average, right? For a pretty tough degree, by the way. When you go to America, there's starting roles of like $70,000, $80,000, which is still what, 50K pounds, and that's a starting entry role, and the pay ceiling is a lot higher as well. So yeah,
in at like £22,000, whereas somewhere like, which is nothing to do with a degree, was paying me like 25, 26. By the way, it's a shite company. Do not get their breakdown cover. But the point is, I was getting paid a lot more at other places for my age than I would have if I was working in biomedical sciences. Then I got sick and tired of having a cap on how much I can make. Yes, in some of these companies, the overtime was great and you probably could walk away with £3,000 or £4,000 a month, but couldn't make as much money as I wanted to. And if I was making £3,000 or £4,000 a month, I was working a shitload of overtime.
I think if you work only the contracted hours, which I think is 16, you'll get about 870, 880 a month, which is, I mean, part-time is not great. If I do a couple days extra a month, I can get myself up to 1,000 a month of extra pay just for a part-time job. Right now, if I work all the hours available to me, I could probably get from 1.3 to 1.5, but then I'm just kind of almost working full-time as it is, like getting very close to full-time hours at that point. So it's not a part-time job anymore. And I think that's how it goes for most jobs. If you work the overtime and you kill yourself for it and you work as many hours as you can, you will get that extra money, you will earn a decent pay, but then you'll just absolutely ream yourself out and you won't be able to do anything else, pursue anything else, which I think is why a lot of people struggle nowadays with these jobs.
So I started up my own business and I wanted the financial freedom. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted. I also recognized that I was an extremely hard worker. And what bothered me is that I was working so hard for somebody else. Like I was basically fulfilling somebody else's dream, and now I love it, and now I make a shitload of money. So this is not saying go and start your own business and make a shitload of money, but it's saying that if you do,
I'd like to know what the business is, at least. Like, give me some examples. I hate when people do this online. Oh, I went and done this and I now make so much money. Can you show us then? You know what I mean? There's so many fake people, and I'm not saying this girl, but there's so many I see on TikTok all the time. Oh, I was doing this, now I earn 10K a month. Just trying to sell you a course. That's how they earn 10K a month, selling idiots courses, bro.
Start a business, you might make a shitload of money. So yeah, guys, I never used the biomedicine degree.
Yeah, the reality is if you start a business, I think it's something like 10% of businesses are successful, like 90% fail. So good luck with that one. Unless you know what you're doing or you have capital to finance you and you are, I mean, you know what you're doing. You really just need to know what you're doing and have some element of luck to be successful. But let's look at some comments from this TikTok. To start in a grad role on a low salary is not a bad thing. You have a long-term job security specialist career where salary expectations to increase year by year. Lifestyle business are challenging, limited scalability, good side hustle. I mean, not the greatest English there, but yeah, I think that is a thing. Most people who come out of grad school or come out of university expect a high paying job straight away. You do have to work your way up in many cases to get that pay, and there is more job security than doing a business or whatever. And you have the comment here, I think I'm impatient. I wanted to make 100 to 150k a year now rather than 15 years. And basically she wouldn't be able to do it with a normal job, which, maybe not in the UK, but like the reality is, I think there's so many people that just want everything right now. If they could get it right now, that's what they want. And most people can't. It's like, I want this right now. I want that right now. That's why so many people are in credit card debt, because they could order anything and have it tomorrow and pay it on debt, on money they don't have. Like, you could literally order a brand new car and be at your house tomorrow. That's how crazy that is. Like, you could spend 50 grand in a moment of impulse, you know, whereas back in the day, you could not do that. Don't expect to make so much money when you're fresh out of uni at 21, 22, whatever age it may be. Like, most people don't hit their prime earning years till they're about 40, just for an example. If you spend your money wisely, you'll be okay. So now we're going to look at a guy talking about medicine and medicine degree. Now, a medicine degree is probably widely considered the best degree you can do. Obviously, it takes almost a decade plus of study in some cases, and you will be in a lot of debt. But most doctors make a shit ton of money. I mean, maybe not in the UK, they're always striking for more pay, and the NHS and the government not paying them fairly. But in the US, they definitely make a ton of money. It's always seen as a great return on investment, even if you do come out hundreds of thousands in debt, because you're going to be making, you know, hundreds of thousands a year. So let's have a look at this guy talking about it.
No longer feels like a privilege to study medicine, even though it is the most amazing job in the world. It no longer feels like a privilege to study medicine because the amount of work you're putting in doesn't really give you the reward financially. It no longer feels like a privilege to study medicine, which is really worrying considering the amount of responsibility that you have when you do start working as a doctor. It's honestly
What I will say though is, from every video or every experience I've seen of people who become doctors, they always talk about how much of a pain and how little you get paid until you are a qualified person working in the field. Like, they are getting paid when they're doing residencies and that, they're getting basically paid nothing for the hours they work. Right, they're barely getting by and they're working so many hours, right? And I think that's just a sacrifice you make to have the job in the end. And I will say, most doctors though, they are some of the smartest people around. Not anyone can just get into a medicine degree. It's one of the hardest degrees to get into as well. So, I mean, I think everyone knows going into it that the work-life balance is non-existent. You know what I mean? So
honestly really heartbreaking to see medical students with such a bright future feeling like this about studying medicine. And I, as a newly qualified doctor, also feel a little bit like this. Here's a few things that you can think about to make yourself feel a little bit better. Having a medical degree is actually very powerful. The skills which you've picked up in your degree are applicable to most fields. If you really don't want to be a doctor, there are opportunities to work in consulting, in banking, in finance. Some people are going.
I would say that would be a waste of your medical degree, no? Like, I guess if you've picked it and you no longer want to do it, I think you're kind of fucked. I guess it depends where along you are in the degree, right? Because then, of course, you could probably stop halfway through and transfer to something else or maybe get a different job. But if you stick it out, you know you're going to be making bank. Like, doctors can retire early, especially if they do private, especially if they work in America. So I think it's worth the pain personally.
Going into big pharma. These companies know the value of a medical degree and they know how much work it takes to even get through the medical degree. And so they're targeting medical students and doctors in order to poach them from the NHS. The most difficult decision is actually taking your degree and your worth and leaving medicine, and that's something that I don't personally feel I'm ready to do or I want to do. Recently finished medical school, I can't just sit here and say that everything is going to be fine. I'm still optimistic. The thing is, you went to medical school because you wanted to be a doctor, not because you wanted to work in finance. But it's the conditions that doctors are facing that push you away from wanting to be a doctor, and not the subject matter itself.
Now, that's an interesting point he makes. I don't know if that comment he was responding to actually believes that. I think there's probably a bunch of people who jump into medical school because they think it's going to give them the most money, and maybe they do it for their parents or whatever, and they don't enjoy it. Not everyone who goes to medical school wants to be a doctor. Let's get that very clear. I do think that some doctors are facing some shitty environment and not getting paid for their work, especially in the UK. I mean, I notice when I go to the NHS, a lot of my doctors don't even care, bro. They're just trying to get as many people in and out in a day as they can because that's what they got to do, because oversubscribed and they don't get paid enough for it. And there probably is a shortage of doctors, let's be real. Yeah, man, I do think there's a lot of people, though, who go into this degree hoping it will set them up and they just aren't cut out for it, or they didn't want to do it and they struggle to find that motivation. We have a comment here from this TikTok saying, breaking into consulting finance law as a med student depends on your university prestige. That's literally a fact. I would probably agree with that. If you go to Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, whatever it is, that's a cheat code to life. If you can get into one of those unis, you're probably going to be set up for life if you do a decent degree. And in the UK, the university you go to is a lot more, I think, valued when it comes to companies, like especially those top 10-ish companies. Like, you've got like the top 4 elite universities, which I would say is Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, and LSE, which are almost like cheat codes to get a job or whatever you want, just because of the connections and that. And then you have like the other ones that are really good, some Russell groups and all of that. And then you have the rest, right, which people don't really care as long as you get a degree from them. You won't probably get first right of refusal for the best job though if you have those degrees. It won't be a foot in the door like it would for other degrees. So here we're going to look at some of the most useless degrees you can get, and following on from that first one we watched.
Top 5 most useless university degrees. And number 1 we can all agree on. Starting off at number 5 we have business. Why would anyone pay nearly 10 grand a year to learn about business from a professor that has probably never had one in their life?
I will say that is probably very true. Although I think maybe 20, 30 years ago, a business degree was probably pretty good. You could probably go get a job in a lot of different business fields. Now there's more specialized degrees in accounting and all of that maybe you can't get that degree. I think it's one of those where the value of it has gone down over time.
Actually want to learn about business, start one or work for one. Number 4 is archaeology. I'm sorry, but you must have nothing better to do with your life if you're studying this. And realistically, what are you going to do after you graduate?
Pick up dinosaur bones, bro. Come on, man.
Dig up fossils for a living. Number 3 is music.
I mean, that's a legitimate job. What's wrong with archaeology? It might not be the best paid one, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. To work in a museum and that.
You really think people are going to listen to your tunes because you have a degree in music? Does Drake have a university degree? I thought so. In second place, we have...
I mean, I think most people that end with a, do music degree are trying to get into either working in that field in terms of education or sound engineers, or maybe they want to play in a band or something. I don't think there's any sort of artists who ever did a music degree, let's be real. Most of them either have connections already or they just got lucky.
Education. Now, what is the point of this? Imagine spending 3 years of your life getting educated about education. This has to be a scam. And it is definitely the biggest waste of time.
What I will say is, though, there is definitely a shortage of teachers. So maybe it's not the worst degree, although I know you could teach a subject by getting a degree in that subject. So if you get a comp sci degree, they were really pushing us last year. Last year, I started university, went back to do my first year, and they were really pushing, like saying, "Oh, you could, while you're waiting for a decent job in tech, you could always go and teach. We have such a shortage of teachers, guys. With a comp sci degree, they're just waiting for people with comp sci degrees to do teaching. I mean, I know almost any subjects you get a degree and you could go be a teacher for it. So getting an education degree might not be the best way to go into teaching, to be fair.
Number 1 is psychology. The only reason anyone studies this at uni is because they didn't know what else to choose. But they really wanted to go to uni. And I don't want any of these lot thinking they can give me therapy sessions because they have a degree in psychology.
I don't think they can. I think you have to have a PhD to actually get a decent job in psychology. I think that's why it's one of the worst degrees. You actually need to have so much progression. Like, I think even a master's degree is not enough to be a psychologist or a therapist. You actually need to get a PhD.
Degree is so useless. And let me ask you, what do most people that get a psychology degree do with their life after? Pretty much nothing.
I don't know anyone.
Let me know what
I don't know anyone who got a psychology degree, but let's move on. You guys let me know what you guys think the most useless degree is, right? Now we're going to move on and look at degrees making people overqualified for regular jobs. I know a few people who can't get jobs because of their degree. Because let's be real, McDonald's aren't looking to hire people with master's degrees, so you just put fries in the back. Let's be honest. But there, let's go.
The reason you don't have a job in the UK is because you are overqualified. We essentially have too many smart people, but not enough industries to employ those smart people. So when we...
Oh, I would disagree that it's labeling anyone who has a degree as smart. I mean, I was at uni, again, this past year. I met a lot of idiots, bro. Don't get it twisted. The university, like the thing about uni, nowadays they let anybody in. Maybe, a while ago it was like, if you're really smart, you could go and you could get a degree. Or if you have a decent level of intelligence, you go, you get a degree and you move into that field. Nowadays, anybody can get in, bro. It's like, that's why the standards and the amount of jobs, there's not enough, because they just let anybody and everybody in. And now they're even dropping like testing standards. I mean, I probably need to make a video on the lowest GCSE results we've seen in forever, basically, the last however many years this year. I just think the way people are tested now, obviously I took a massive break between school and going back to uni, right? And when I was at school, there was no people being nice to me saying, oh yeah, we'll make some adjustments for you in the test. Unless you had a serious like disability or learning whatever it is, they might make a adjustment for you. But apart from that, no. I went to uni saying, oh yeah, we don't actually have any exams this year because people found it too stressful. Like, what are you on, bruv? How are people actually meant to learn? There's going to be a rise of chat GPT degrees soon if we don't like actually fix this shit up.
We were kids, we were all pushed into higher education, or at least we were incentivized to go into it. We learned these skills, we got our degrees, we got our qualifications, but there's not enough industries to employ us. Now you'd think companies would take advantage of this and say there's a gap in the labour market. We can start up these companies and have cheap labour because there's not a lot of people employing these individuals, so they'd be willing to work for less. But the UK is so anti-business that it's not even worth doing that. It's still better.
I don't even think that's the only issue. Yeah, the UK is quite anti-business. I think most people in the UK aren't willing to drop their standards and work a shit job. I'm gonna be real. Like, most people with a degree, they think they're better than working a job that they don't get paid equal for. And when you have a benefit system that allows you to basically, if you have parents to live with, and you're on universal credit, you're fine, bro. You won't be able to like bank savings and that, but you'll be able to do what you want, pretty much, like, and afford decent amount of luxuries, food, like video games and all that. I know a guy who's on universal credit, brother. He's been on that since he got out of school, bro. He's a year older than me, blood. And literally, he lives with his parents. He gets all the games he wants. He just sits around and watches football all day, bro. Are you crazy? You just do what you want. You have all that. They pay your bills basically, and that's it. If that wasn't incentivized, he would actually have to go get a job or upskill himself and do something. You know what I mean?
Better to just set your companies up abroad and then bring the UK workers to move there, which is why the UK is losing more millionaires and more skilled people than almost any other country per capita. I can say from personal experience, if I know someone who's recently graduated, I'm talking within the last 6 months, and they actually find a job in the field that they studied in, it's abnormal. It's a shock. It's a massive achievement. That should be the norm, and it is the norm in almost any other country.
I don't know if it's the norm in any other country, but like he said, there's not enough jobs there. People are leaving the country because the opportunity is better elsewhere, and I think that's just incompetence of the government, bro. That's what that is. Like, if the government could easily change rules tomorrow to help it benefit people with degrees, help them stop losing these high-skilled workers, but they don't care. I think the university system, there's some sort of racket going on. That's why they push so many people in to make more money. I think there's something like that going on.
Countries are desperate for these skilled, highly educated workers. We have too many of them. We have so many that our industries just don't need them anymore.
We have too many, yet we still will import so many people to work in those fields, right? And people say, and I'm not talking about illegal immigration. I think anyone who's for it is probably stupid, but there's a lot of incentives for companies to bring over legal immigrants because they might accept less pay or they might accept worse working conditions than people in the UK. I think that's just a fact. We have some comments from that video saying here, we don't have too many smart people. We encourage too many people into higher education. Do you really think that 35% of the population needs to go to university? And I agree with this comment. It's what I said. I don't think we have that many smart people because I know the average person and a lot of them are stupid. I know idiots with degrees. Let's be real. I think everyone does. And then we have another one here saying, the guy who works at my corner shop has a biomedical degree. So, I mean, yeah, working at a corner shop after getting a degree was probably not what he had in mind. This one focused about teaching. Like I said, I think we have a shortage of teachers in the UK at the moment. So, yeah, let's have a look at this.
If you're struggling to get a job right now, just become a teacher. I swear down, do that PGCE or ECG, whatever the hell it is. Bro, do you think your teacher when you were younger wanted to become one? No. Bro, she wanted to go Malia in the summer, but that cost money. She needed to fund it. Who's gonna fund it? Exactly. Bro, just be a teacher, man.
Pretty short and sweet video. Like I said, they were pushing us to go into teaching at the university. I think teaching is one of those jobs that unless you actually like kids and you actually are good at it, there's no point in doing it. I had so many shit teachers at school. You could tell none of them wanted to be there. And I think kids these days are way more rowdy than even when I was at school. Like, this is 10 years ago. But nowadays, I've seen kids, like, I have family members. Those kids are rowdy, bro. Like, I don't see how all these phone addicted, screen addicted kids are behaving. There's so many videos I've seen on YouTube, people talking about their experience teaching in UK schools and how it's one of the worst and how parents have no accountability and all that. Like, I couldn't deal with it because I might accidentally slap somebody's child, bro. I like some kid saying some madness to me, I would lose my shit, bro. I couldn't do that. I think the only benefit to being a teacher is the schedule. That's it. And still, to this day, especially in the UK, teachers have a fat workload they have to deal with, which is crazy.
Who else graduated and is now applying for jobs that they could have just done 3 years ago? I'm sat here. Now I've got to do a 30-minute test. Oh, what do you mean? A 30-minute test?
I mean, I do think quite a few of those companies have active tests, right? They just have shorter tests because no one wants to do. I remember back when I applied for, was it Audi years ago, the testing phase was an hour and a half. If it's only now half an hour, that's not too bad. It's one of those where if you're applying to a bunch of jobs, that's just kind of the way of the road. We have a comment here from this saying, to be honest, if you're not applying for at least 30 jobs a day, you're not really looking. I kind of agree with that. If you're only applying to 3 or 4, you're probably not really trying, bro. Although if there is a 30-minute test for all of them, you won't be able to apply for 30. So now, obviously, I've showed you guys what degrees are useless and which ones aren't so good. So let's look at some of the more useful degrees.
Guys, what do you think is the most useful degree? And I'm not talking about in terms of getting jobs, but actual useful day-to-day living. Because obviously I've studied economics, and the economics I studied in A-levels I thought would be very applicable. But what I studied in university, I don't think I'm gonna use it again.
I don't think you should be going to uni to learn life skills, bro. That's not what it is. It's to skill you for a job. It's to give you education and knowledge for a job, not to teach you life skills. If you want to learn life skills, go to the school of YouTube, bro, or school of books or something.
Like, I'm not sitting here calculating my utility on a day-to-day from making different decisions. So I see like the the theoretical application of stuff, but I don't really see how practical it is.
I mean, I think that is the whole point of university. But let's look at some of the comments because they were talking about what it is. I'll give you some of mine. I think if you want it in terms of a job, which is not what he wanted, but math, computer science, engineering, medicine, all of that, probably the best for a job. I guess if you want to manage, you know, to learn something about managing money, maybe finance and accounting would be applicable to your daily life and improve you in that. We have some comments here. This guy saying maths, computer science, engineering, accounting, finance, or economics, nothing else. Every business needs finance people. If you do psychology, you're cooked. I mean, that's probably true. But you guys let me know, what is the most useless degree you could study? What is the best degree you could study? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed that video, I'm sure you enjoyed the one popping up on the screen right now. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. I'll see you all in the next one.